tell me, how was it to be back in the Harry Potter universe? Anything different from directing the other Harry Potter films?
Do you know, this story felt very different to the stories that we told at Hogwarts. You know, a new set of characters, a new period, a new country. So it felt like you were coming home to a place that you kind of knew, but everything felt like it had changed in good and interesting ways. And so for me, it had all the benefits of working with people that you like working with: Stuart Craig, Joe Rowling, David Heyman, some of the people I'd made the Potter films with, but we were telling brand new stories. And I was able to cast a brand new world with Eddie and Catherine and all those guys. So it was the best of both worlds, really. Best of having what felt lovely about where we were before, and then we were doing something completely fresh.
So how did the technology and special effects evolve since the last Harry Potter films?
Well, it just gets better every year. The technology gets better. You know, the processing power gets quicker. There are lots of animators who've been working in this realm for a long time now, who have honed their skills. So you know, and we could do things. For example, you know, we had characters, some of the goblins in our movie this time round. They just feel realer than we could do before. The skin tones and the textures are better because the processing power's got quicker. We can reference real skin tones, so it's just got better over the years, basically.
So after doing this film, would you have done something different while directing the other Harry Potter films?
No, probably not. You know, I loved working on those films. My job was to grow them up, make them a little darker, a bit more intense. The books were sort of going in that direction. And now with Fantastic Beasts, the way Joe is writing these screenplays, they're much more naturally sort of akin to where my sensibilities are as a filmmaker and as a storyteller. They're grown-up characters, it's a grown-up world, the themes are quite rich and intense. So I couldn't have changed the way I made those Potter movies, because that's who I am, you know, inevitably. It's a bit like a play. If you play the piano, you play it in a certain way because it's expressing who you are. And when you make a movie, you can't help but partly express who you are. You can't be someone else. And what I love about Fantastic Beasts and the stories that Joe is creating for these new chapters is they're a little bit more layered and a little bit darker sometimes. And they deal with big themes that reflect where we are in our world now. And that, to me, is exciting as a storyteller.
So tell me why the choice of Eddie Redmayne, and tell us about the tough casting selections that you had.
Well, you know, Eddie for me sort of landed very early in who I and we all felt would be perfect for Newt Scamander. He's got a lot of soul as an actor, a lot of humanity. He hasn't done much funny before, but I felt he could find a very whimsical, melancholic humor with the character. I like his shape. I know that seems odd, but he's got a wonderful shape. And for a leading man, he's not obviously a leading man in a sort of classic way. There's something really beautiful about him, but unusual, and I like that very much. Perfect for Newt Scamander. And then I asked Eddie to come to New York, and he very kindly agreed to read lots of different scenes with lots of actors for the different roles, like Tina and Jacob, because for me, Eddie was the foundation of the cast, and I wanted to surround him with people who would work with him in terms of chemistry. And so we were not very far from here in another hotel, in a hotel room for like 72 hours or more. And I would just bring in all these different actors to read with Eddie. He'd do the same scene with different actors to allow me really to judge who was the right Tina, who was the right Jacob, because they all had to really work with our Newt Scamander, with Eddie. And that was tough, because it was tough on Eddie. And actually it was really, when we actually got to make the movie, we would be doing scenes that he'd done dozens and dozens and dozens of times with different actors. And to make the scenes fresh, we had to kind of throw odd things at Eddie to sort of, because your brain starts to sort of set these tram lines when you've done a scene so many times. And we had to sort of throw some surprises in to keep them fresh.
So are you signed to also do the sequels?
I am. I'm doing the second one, which I'm working on right now. I'm working with Joe and Steve on the script currently, and I'm kind of know where it's roughly going, but where it's really going is all in Joe's head. But I kind of know where the arc is going for 3, 4, and 5, just very, very roughly. Do I want to stay and do all of them? I'm not sure. I really want to make sure that we get this out into the world, and then the second one I'm really excited about. The second one is so different to the first. Joe's created this almost dreamlike, quite haunting, very beautiful story for the second film, which feels very different again to where we've started. So that excites me as a filmmaker, because it's not like what we've just done. It's very different, and I suspect I'll get hooked into it if her ambition is, she's so ambitious for the series that I suspect I'll get hooked into the whole thing. But at the moment I'm just enjoying doing it, and I feel excited about doing it. So we'll just see how we go, and it's a great pleasure to be working with her and David Heyman and Steve Clovis, Lionel, and all the cast that we've got. Lovely.
Sure. What does the universe of J.K. Rowling represent to you, and how do you explain the phenomenal success?
I think the key thing is that her characters are very real in some ways and very vivid. That's almost contradictory, but they represent people that we know, or they represent people like us, and in a way that's very special, because the characters cross cultural boundaries. So in them we see a part of ourselves, or in them we see a part of people we know and love, or people who may intimidate us in a way. So she's got this amazing gift for character, and for expressing the human experience and what we deal with day to day in the most dramatic aspects of our lives in this kind of magical universe. And I think that's very special and very unique, and it's a true gift. And I think her stories are now allow us to interpret our own lives a little bit, and they allow us to escape. And they allow us to explore ideas and our humanity in this vivid, playful world. And it's a very special skill she's got.
So what is magic about for you, and what magic trick would you dream to execute?
You know what I was saying earlier, I would love to use a time turner, because it doesn't feature in our movie, but there's something extraordinary about it. Because I sometimes think human history is extraordinary, what we've, as a species, what we've been through. And I believe since the Second World War we have had the most extraordinary period of general peace and prosperity. It's not always been great. We've had recessions and depressions, and we've had conflicts, and we've had terrible things happen. But if you look at it in the span of human history, it's been an amazing time. And I think I would like, sometimes people who get frustrated with what's happening in the world or say it should be perfect, I'd love to just take them all back and show them how imperfect the world has been before this period that we've lived in, the general prosperity, the technology that we're developing, the general optimism and the humanity that we've experienced, the interchange, the way that the globe is coming together. It's an extraordinary time, a great opportunity, but jeopardy as well. And I think what we need to do is remind ourselves that actually we've been through terrible, terrible, terrible things. We have to value the present and the opportunities it presents, and that things aren't always perfect, and life is imperfect, and we have to make the best of it.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Yeah, nice to meet you.